I always thought about harming myself.
I'm shy. I struggled with making friends.
I never thought I could do anything. I have extremely low self esteem.
Lately, I've been eating my pain away. Just throw it back up. I've been struggling to lose weight.
Somebody said I don't fit in just because I wear my hair the way I like it.
1 out of 5 American girls suffer from mental health problems. Don't be that girl. Talk to someone.
Those thoughts I had are long gone, for I have a future I need to get to.
In order to get better, I had to do better. I learned how to make friends.
I believe in myself. That's when everyone else did, I set an example.
Instead of me eating everything, I started watching my calories. The weight is falling off.
I wanted to change my hair, but I decided it was for me. It's for me.
A PSA from the Curvy Girl Project.
And good morning. It's been a couple of weeks since I've done the show, but good morning. And you're watching Expose Under the Sun, sponsored by the Detroit Native Sun newspaper. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, and I have a very special guest with me today that I probably don't have to give too much introduction for, because I'm probably sure that, if you see her, oh yeah, I know her. But before we get started, our show is live, and our calling number is area code 313-868-0342, 313-868-0351, or 313-868-4336. And our website is www.tv33whpr.com. And again, you are watching us live from the awesome cities of Highland Park, Michigan, under the auspices of the new mayor, Glenda McDonald, as well as the phenomenal city of Detroit, Michigan, under the auspices of the Honorable Mayor in his third term in office, Mike Duggan. But before we get to my special guest, just a little sad note. Many of you know that I host a radio show, and my partner that I do the radio show with, Livonia Pearman, her father, passed away the other day, and he was 99 years young, and he was preceded, in death by his beautiful wife, Geneva, last year. And I know Livonia has been really diligently, keeping her father's spirits up, keeping him active and motivated. He had some health challenges recently, but the people at the nursing home where he was at were taking great care, of him. So, I just want you to keep my partner, our radio partner. It's almost like she's almost like a radio wife, in a sense, but Livonia Pearman, keep her lifted up in your thoughts and your prayers. The one thing that it's really rough, because we all know that there are some things in life that are inevitable. Everybody always uses the phrase is death and taxes. We know tax season is coming around next month, and if you haven't paid your taxes this year yet, you got deadlines coming up. But at the same time, too, we know that transitional life is something that we all have to face, as well. So I know it was kind of tough for me when I still was looking at other people losing their parents, and for me to be able to go and kind of look at them and, be thankful I still had my parents here. But then when I lost my father first, and then my mother, how what somebody's going through when they lose someone. But at the same time, too, people grieve in their own way. And a lot of times people wonder why you're not sad or why you're not crying or something like that. But sometimes it hits you at a later time, and it's like with my father, some of my coworkers, were telling me in terms of say that, stay strong, keep your head up, keep your faith up. And, it's like hearing them saying that. It was some consoling words that they give, but at the same time, too, you still have to process it. And you process it, And it's like with me and my father, when he made his transition, one night I was in the bed, and just all of a sudden, I think I woke up from a deep sleep, and it just hit me. And I started crying uncontrollably. And it was like, I was glad that, there was nobody else there to see me just sobbing, something serious. And, and it's rough, when you have those moments like that. But, after about probably, give or take a good 15, 20 or so minutes, I was able to, dry my eyes and, wipe the moisture that seemed like it was coming from my eyes. I don't know about calling them tears, but it was a lot of moisture that was in my eyes. And I was like just trying to make myself smile and laugh. But, I went to work the next day, and, it just hit. So sometimes it comes across you like with waves. So again, Livonia, I do want to tell you that, I'm going to keep you lifted up in prayer, keep your family lifted up in prayer, and just want to let you know that, right now, Alex is joining Geneva with the other angels up in heaven. So they have been united again. And don't get me to start singing that song, Reunited. But the bottom line is that they are together in heaven with the angels, and they're looking and smiling down upon you. So stay strong. Okay. But my special guest today is a good friend of mine, longtime friend of mine. It's so interesting. When I first saw this lady, I was like, boy, she is so, just, I don't know, it was something about her that just made me just gravitate to her, as I'm sure that other people gravitate to her. And she has that, that type of personality that it's like once her beauty draws you in, you can't leave. And you just get, just listen to her conversation, her smile, her wit, and, her wisdom. And you're kind of like, man, you just locked in. But I'm sure that when when the camera pans over to her, you'll be like probably doing, as a lot of people are probably doing when they see this TV show, and they'll be like, I've seen her before. I've seen her before somewhere, and they'll be thinking about where they've seen her before at. But now here live and in person, so now you don't have to sit up here and keep pointing that finger and nudging somebody next to you. What's her name again? What's her name again? I know her. And my special guest today is none other than Valerie Kelly Bonner. Valerie, thank you and welcome to Expose Under the Sun.
I am humbled and grateful to be a guest on your show, but most of all to be your friend. The feeling and the admiration is mutual. I feel the same way about Darwin. He's a wonderful guy. He loves the community, and so do I. He's boots on the ground for the community. So am I. So we have a lot in common, and we have some really good conversations about those things. So hello to everyone in your viewing audience, and again, thank you.
Well, it is my pleasure to have this half an hour with you, today, because I know there's so many things that you do in the community, so many hearts, so many minds that you touch. in all the things that you do. But let's just kind of catch up. We haven't talked in a minute, but kind of catch me up with what has Valerie Kelly Bonner been doing since the last time we touched base.
So I have an organization that I started more than 25 years ago called Strategies to Overcome Obstacles and Avoid Recidivism, acronym SOAR. SOAR started out as a prison reentry program. I was working with Dr. Trent and Andre Johnson
Calvin
to
Trent.
do. Yes. And we were inside of the prison working with inmates, preparing them to come home. As a result of that, when I started aggregating the data, it showed that the problems of those gentlemen started in 5th grade. So I felt like if I was a true preventionist, then I have to stop it before it starts, not intervene after something has occurred. And that started our youth program 25 years ago, which now has evolved to harm reduction. So we've evolved to harm reduction. We are trying to help people who are using drugs intravenously, having survival sex, and things of that nature to get healthy.
What do you mean when you say survival sex? What do you mean?
So a lot of people will call it prostitution.
Okay.
And there are numerous other names. But a lot of times these women are having what they call survival sex. They are having sex to survive, whether that's with their landlord, whether that's on the street, whether that is to get money to buy drugs for their habit. So I prefer the term survival sex, and so do they. I have clients on my roster that consider themselves as business women, and that being a sex worker is the same as any other worker that has a job, like a cosmetologist that has clientele, and all of that is their business. What I pride myself on is do you. But you don't have to be unhealthy and die as a result of the choices that you are making for your life. So if I can help you be healthy, if I can advocate for you, then let's do that. And that's how the harm reduction program started. So what we do is change ordinances, paraphernalia ordinances, so we are allowed to do a needle exchange, pass out clean supplies, condoms, needles, pipes, whatever those individuals need to be healthy. We also ask them questions. When is the last time you've been to an emergency room? Do you need to see a mental health professional? Are you hungry? Mother's Pantry in Inkster gives us food. Are you hungry? Do you need something to eat? Are you healthy? What's going on with you? And we see them weekly. And so they're our family. They're not a client. They're not a participant. They're a family. Some of them desire to stop using so that they can get their children back and live life according to their rules. Some of them don't want to stop getting high. The trauma goes that deep that that's how they cope with life and the things that have occurred in their life. So everybody don't want to stop getting high. So that's why with AA and some of those other programs, they don't work for everyone, right? Some of them are spiritually based. These people have prayed to God and didn't get any resolve. So telling me to pray, that's not helping me because I've given up on that concept. So we do have a spiritual aspect to our program too, called Called to Care Ministries, because a lot of times these people walk into churches, they're ostracized. Let a sex worker walk in off the street. That it could be the same sex worker that's been in front of that church for months. But once they step inside, it's a little bit different. And so what we do is have service with them as well. We sing praise and worship. This one participant of ours, she can really sing. And so when we sing, she took that microphone and she sang and belted that hymn out. These are people. This is someone's mother, auntie, grandmother, cousin. They're human beings.
So you pretty much you humanize them where they may have thought that they weren't human.
Yes. We want them to know that they are still a child of God, that they are loved and they are not forgotten. And it's the ills of society that makes them feel that way. No one knows the pain or trauma until they share with us. And that's why we share our testimonies. We listen to theirs. We sing with them. We talk with them. We love on them. They're our family.
And that makes a big difference when you listen to the pain that somebody goes through. And I know we talk about black men and black women, trying to heal. And the only way that we can really help black men and black women heal is for them to go and tell us how they feel. And that's the key right there. So now we talk in terms of, I know you've got a couple of movies, some films that you're in the process of working on and getting those, seen by, your viewing audiences. Let's talk about the first one you said. How can a sick church save a dying world?
So, how can a sick church save a dying world is the story of a pastor's son that had schizophrenia, HIV, and a crack addiction. And the way that the church treated him was reprehensible. The way that the pastor treated him was reprehensible. As it says in Hosea, we will perish for lack of knowledge. And so that pastor had to be educated on what was going on so he could learn how to love on his son. But at that point, it was a little too late because he had also ostracized him in front of the congregation. Therefore, he's the leader. They followed. And we're talking about 30 years ago in a time where HIV wasn't as prevalent. It was like COVID then. And so as a result of that, there was some education that had to take place. How do I know about this story? That pastor is my father. And I had just met him. I was raised by my stepfather. I did not know my biological father until I was 30 years old. So we're talking almost 30 years ago now. And the first time that I met him, my brother, was at that service.
Wow.
And when I came, I said, okay, I'm going to fly into Chicago, and this will be a good opportunity for me to meet the rest of my family because I had just met my father maybe 2 months before this occurred. And I said, well, okay, my brother has died. Don't put my name on the obituary or anything because people tend to be a little bit nosy or ignorant or rude. They'd be like, well, it says 7 kids. I only know 6, right? And my mouth is a little slick. So I was like, hey, to avoid all of that, just don't put my name down. I don't need to be known or recognized. I'm coming here. I get a chance to see the rest of my siblings and some of your brothers and sisters. I'm good with that because we're good at turning funerals into family reunions. So I thought it was a good time. When I walked into the church, the casket was outside of the sanctuary. It was in the vestibule. I thought that was really strange. Until later on, my father explained that my brother never felt comfortable coming inside of the church alive, so he's not bringing him in here dead.
Wow.
And how can a sick church save a dying world tells that entire story and so much more.
So when can somebody be able to view this?
Well, actually, we're going to have a viewing coming up at Downriver Community Church in Lincoln Park on April the 21st. Doors open at 6. Show starts at 6:30. However, we're taking it on tour. So if anyone in the listening audience or the viewing audience would like to host a viewing, it's free. We don't charge anything to show it. We would come to your church, your community center, or wherever you choose to host us, and we can show the film there. It's been very well received. It is very thought-provoking. And one thing about it for sure is resurrecting the fact that the HIV disease that transformed into AIDS is still very prevalent among us. but nobody's talking about it.
Yeah, it seems like there's other things that are going and superseding that with HIV. Now, if they wanted to contact you to get more information, or if they want to contact you, is there a phone number or a website that they can go on?
Yes, so you can call my office. The SORA office number is 734-697-9511. If you want to send an email, you can send it to info@SOAR, SOOAR hyphen nonprofit.org. And we would love to show the film. We are planning a huge viewing. I haven't selected the venue yet. I'm still looking for a nice sized theater. So you can stay tuned. And if you follow the SOAR nonprofit page on Facebook, you will see all of our trainings, all of our movies, and everything that's going on with us, because we're on the move. And you'll be able to keep up with our calendar of events there too. But we plan to have a red carpet showing. We have partnered with Detroit Wayne Mental Health Authority, and now it's Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network. They love the film and the ideology behind it. It encompasses the co-occurring disorder, the mental health disorder with the substance use, and there's a lot in this to be unpacked. So we hope to have a showing in conjunction with DWIN sometime this summer.
Well, you definitely have to keep me posted so that we can make sure that we help promote, the film at
I
the
sure
same
will.
time. And now, and this half an hour goes by so fast, but in the short period of time, now is there another film? I know you had a couple others. You had like Black Men Heal, Say How You Feel. Is there another film that you've got coming up real quick that you'd like to talk about and kind of promote?
Yes, so there has been a buzz now about Black men and mental health. You have hosted several conversations with the brothers, kicking it with the brothers. Or
Right, chopping it up with the brothers.
chopping it up with the
right.
brothers. So there's been a lot of talk about Black men and mental health, which is very important. Black men lead our families, and if they're broken, then that's a domino effect, right? So we need you guys to be healthy in order to do that. So Black Man Heal, Say How You Feel, Brother, it's a 3-part series, but the first part is about Uda Dan Lockhart, who is an Inkster native of my hometown. And he talks about how he was running drugs from the age of 8 years old, being a lookout guy. Then later on into selling drugs and all of these things that he did within his life. But it took him getting hit by a semi-truck on his motorcycle that took his mental health all the way out of control and forced him, and these are his words, to deal with all of those demons. Right? Everything from 8 years old until present.
How is he?
He's doing fine now. But
How old is he?
Uda may be in his 30s
Okay.
now.
Okay.
But he's talking about what that looks like. We are products of our environment, whether we want to realize that or not in certain cases. And he talks about the adverse childhood experiences that he had that formed him into who he was at that particular time. Right? He talks about the fact that when he was selling drugs in the community, going back having a big barbecue and shutting the block down and feeding everybody, he thought he was really doing something, negating the fact that he was putting the poison in the
Right.
community. And he talks about that. But he really gets down into the mental health and says that I'm battling during the day to keep my sanity, make sure my family is good, and I'm battling at night to keep my sanity to make sure I'm good.
Okay, and I know we've got about 5 minutes left, but now, Ace of Spades. Let's talk about that.
So as I alluded to, ACEs is adverse childhood experiences. It is things that happen in gestation when your mother is pregnant with you that are exacerbated by things you go to once you enter into this world. And so the Ace of Spades is the story of my ACEs, of me being in my mother's womb during the civil rights movement. She was shooting a rifle from 5 years old, trying to protect a property that my great-grandfather sharecropped. She graduated high school. All of this occurred while I was in gestation. Now I am a freedom fighter. I stand up. I say how I feel. I'm a protector. But at the same time, I have anxiety as a mental health condition. My brother does not have any of these conditions that I have. His ACEs are different. And so I tell the story of ACEs because you will start to hear more and more about this term. It is a term used relatively often in mental health now in general practitioners' offices when it comes to our children and their adverse childhood experiences and how that equates to their behavior and mental health. So that's what Ace of Spades is going to be about, the most powerful card in the deck. So I thought it was befitting to use that as the name of the film.
And now let's just talk real quick in the few minutes we have left, the different faces of addiction.
So Faces of Addiction will be about just that. There are different faces to addiction. I have an Asian nurse that's a participant of mine who had cancer and was taking medication for cancer to go through that pain, became addicted, started taking controlled substances from the job, got fired, and now shoots heroin. And so when we talk about faces of addiction, I want to really promote the harm reduction aspects of it, but also there are people in the church that's getting high. Some of the pastors are looking at people that get high. They just clean up well and they riding good, right? And so there are different faces to addiction. It's not always the person standing in front of Leon's grocery store that's an addict. I think there are various levels to it, but all of them deserve respect. They're humans. They should be loved, not thrown away or forgotten. And that's what Faces of Addiction will be about. Telling some of those stories, encouraging everyone under the sound of my voice and beyond to not judge, to not use implicit bias, to not have microaggressions, or to be just straight up rude to these individuals. Love on them.
Give your contact information one more time.
I can be reached at 734-697-9511. That is the number to our agency, SOAR. And we look forward to hearing from you and would love to host a showing of how can a sick church save a dying world, and you'll find out they can't.
You have been watching Expose Under the Sun with my special guest, Ms. Valerie Kelly Bonner. And if you'd like to get a copy of the Detroit Native Sun newspaper, you can contact Ms. Valerie Lockhart, the area code 313-457-5944. And again, keep Livonia Perriman's family in your thoughts and in your prayers. Have a great rest of the afternoon. Peace.
Here at the Full and Fabulous Curvy Girl Project, we don't just focus on health, beauty, and self-esteem. We also offer an amazing summer program for young ladies ages 12 to 18. For more information, visit our website at fullandfabulous.org. See you soon.